Now, let us talk about some of the axioms that technology typically satisfies. Okay. Some axioms or properties. You must have noticed by now that in economics we have tendency to convert everything into mathematical notation, mathematical symbol. It is not necessary, it is not compulsory, but the thing is that when you convert the things in the language of mathematics, the life becomes easier. You have mathematical formulation and all, you have rules and logic that you can use from mathematics to solve the problem, and after obtaining the mathematical solution you can revert it back in the economic setting, obtain the economic solution also. Okay? So, that is the typical process. So, the first is the production set is non-empty. What does it mean?
We cannot produce anything from nothing.
No, that it does not mean.
If we are putting input,
by the way, production set is typically denoted by capital Y. This is typical way to denote. So, Y is not equal to 0. Y is not equal to 5. What it means is that whenever we talk about production set, something can be produced. We are not talking about a scenario when nothing can be produced. And if you think of in a life, of course, there are various things that cannot be produced, then we will not talk about it. What's point of talking about it? So, here simply this is a mathematical requirement that we have. Mostly we will talk about mathematical requirement. Here it means that this is not empty, there is no no combination, that is not possible. Whenever we talk about production set, it is non-empty. Fine. The second is the production set is closed. What it means is that production set has some boundary, or some boundary, or it continues to infinity, then you do not need the boundary.
Sir, closed in sense fixed boundaries, no?
No, for example, this is closed. This is the production set. So, it is bounded here, it has boundary here, but there is no boundary in this side. This is also closed.
Matlab we can close it on one side like mathematically.
So, and this is again mathematical requirement, because we will talk about maximization and all. So, this is a mathematical requirement. Okay. Third, what you were talking about is that there is the word that we use, you will hear it from economists again and again, that there is no free lunch. The rule is called, or axiom is called, that there is no free lunch. What it means is that if you take an element of this production set, you cannot have only positive numbers. You cannot have an element like this in the production set. What does it mean? That everything is output here, nothing is being used to produce this output. So, that is not possible. At least one should have a negative sign. So, basically what we are saying, nothing can be produced from thin air. Okay, you cannot conjure something. Harry Potter system would not work. That is what basically we are talking about, that we are ruling out. Okay, it is not possible. Okay. In other words, what we are saying is that this is the production set, and if we take the intersection with the positive orthant, at max we can get only 0. Is it clear? Fine. Okay. See, we can ignore all these axioms and still we can learn about production theory. Okay. And that is the typical way to go about it. But what we are doing, we are learning the basic, we are not assuming things out, because when we do the maximization, profit maximization, to do the profit maximization, some properties have to be satisfied, and these are the properties required to do the profit maximization. That is why we are learning about it, okay, in very brief, not in detail. Okay. Then free disposal. What is free disposal? Means if you have, let us say, a production process, just for example, when we have one output and two inputs, let us say 1 comma 2 is leading to 1 unit of output. So, at 1 unit of output can still be produced by 2 comma 2, because what we are doing, we are disposing 1 off, 1 unit of good one off. What we are assuming basically, that disposal is cost free, there is no cost in disposing of some of the inputs. But let me tell you, in real life this gets violated. Sometimes it is costly to throw something out, not in the emotional sense, but in the real sense. You have to pay someone, like if you waste disposal is not free, okay. So, in that sense, but it is an assumption that we typically make. And free disposal, of course, here I have talked in the context of production set. Fine. Here we have talked in the concept, in the context of production set. If we take the same concept in the production function, what do we get? A property that we have learned earlier in context of consumption set, monotonicity. Let me show you how. What it means is, let me define it. A technology is monotonic if it gives out at least as much output as in the earlier case after an input is increased. Fine. In mathematical notation, the partial derivative of output with respect to one input should be greater than or equal to 0. Isn't it related to free disposal? Not exactly the same, but related. Okay. This free disposal ensure that at worst this is going to be equal to 0. Fine. Okay.